Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 broke everything about the show. Not just the viewing numbers and the amount of people talking about it, but also it took everything from Season 1 and catapulted it to the stratosphere. It moved the story so well, gave us better fights, highlighted the characters more, and most of all some seriously badass moments. It was like eating food prepared by Gordon Ramsay. Once the season got going, every bite, every episode was filled with hype after hype after hype. What can I say? Just peak shonen. And this is coming from someone who thought season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen was overrated. But after watching this, it felt like season 1 was just a prequel episode to season 2, where things really picked up. So let's talk about it. It's really hard for me to go about describing this masterpiece, as every aspect of this season was peak. From the fights, the animation, the pacing and the way the story flowed, to the emotional roller coasters and the incredible character builds. A perfect mixture to say the least. But let's start simple and talk about the production. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 was a visually satisfying masterpiece, with insanely fluid animations that engulf you in the fight, whether be it hand to hand, where every punch, every kick and every impact is so well animated. It really felt like MAPPA was spoiling us. But of course, great animations really shine with large scale fights like the Sukuna centered ones. I mean, just look at this, the fluidity, the camera angles and even the small details. But honestly, if it was only the animation, I wouldn't be this impressed. The art style too was as insane as it gets. Especially with the studio switching between the standard anime style that we saw in season 1 and the less polished manga style that was used for very impactful and important scenes. To me, scenes like Sukuna and Jogo's aftermath, or Yuji, Todo and Mahito face-off just hit differently. Something about this switching of the art, I don't know how to best describe it, but I feel like it gives those scenes more authenticity. And after being impressed by it multiple times, I am starting to wonder why other studios don't utilize this simple but beautiful technique. But beyond this, however, the art was still amazing elsewhere. The curses look as good as ever, the elemental effects seem realistic, but not too realistic that it breaks the 2D immersion. Yet what amazed me the most about this season's production were the facial expressions. The way MAPPA handled the various emotions, each with its distinctive art style, true to the expression and the message being conveyed. The different atmosphere settings that each highlight different moods and further deepens the feels. And it even goes beyond to the sound production. The amazing voice acting performed by one of the best rosters. From Nanami's manly voice to Sukuna's royal tone, to even Mahito's screams that fit perfectly with his playful but psycho persona. However, Yuji's voice actor took this to the extreme with his multi-layered performance. I just loved how he handled the swings of emotions and moods his character was having. And trust me when I say, this season was a roller coaster of emotions for Yuji. And everyone else actually, even the viewers. This is especially true for the Shibuya incident arc, with the show being ballsy enough to kill off many characters, from side to even main ones. The chopping block was for everyone, and considering that even the main character was close to dying multiple times, Season 2 had me at the edge of my seat at all times. There weren't any breaks. The pacing in this season is probably one of the best I have seen in years. It's not Attack on Titan Season 3, but it has one of the fastest yet most naturally flowing pacing of shonen anime. The writer fully takes advantage of the chaotic nature of the setting he wonderfully put in place. You don't know who is going to end up facing who. With the exception of Gojo, who was lured, everyone was just lost, and this was the perfect catalyst for an insane arc, filled with thrilling fights, sad moments, and overall peak shonen. It honestly reminded me of the Chimera Ants arc from Hunter x Hunter. The same style of writing with the chaotic nature and the poor civilians who were caught up in the mix, albeit the Shibuya arc had better pacing and better character roster than that of the Chimera Ants. There weren't any dull moments in this season. The whole thing was a storm of swinging emotions. But more importantly, I was at awe at how much this arc advanced the story. Seeing Yuji go from someone who is always smiling and fears taking lives, to this ruthless character who hungers for the kill, a psycho with enough malice in his soul to make Mahito shiver in horror as he ran for his life. While writing the script for this video, I was lost on how to best describe the characters. Set aside the beautifully chaotic nature they were in, it was the depth of character that some went through, how each fell into their places perfectly like jigsaw pieces, how this season gave me my favorite villain in anime, but also my least favorite, all in the span of just few episodes. And then it hit me. The anime flashed these characters and their development so well in their fights. Seeing Toji handles the special grade curse Dagon like a baby, while 2 first grade sorcerers and 2 candidates were struggling just to survive, was all we needed to see for us to know this guy is him. And so I concluded that in order to do the experience justice, it is mandatory for us to explore the fights and characters together and really see what made this show click so well. Starting up straight with the first real fight, Toji vs Gojo and Geto. The first 5 episodes of Season 2 were a prequel arc about the strongest sorcerers of the modern era and how they fell off. And while it had the simple premise of protecting this little girl, I felt like this arc was about Toji and what he means for the show more than anything else. Before watching these episodes, I was thinking, with the movie being a prequel and the main characters were absent from it, and now this is another prequel, I wasn't sure if this was the right choice, but now I know it was brilliant writing. First, we got used to Gojo being the strongest, and so seeing Toji bring him to his knees that badly in what I won't call a fight because it was one-sided, was exactly what the show needed. A glimpse of how big the world of Jujutsu Kaisen is. There will always be a challenger. Toji was strong, but also Toji was smart and very efficient at his job, the perfect sorcerer killer. Gojo having 2 of the most broken techniques made him one hell of a sorcerer, to the point that even though Toji has the means to kill him, he still needed to wear him out just so his senses become dull. A simple plan, but worked like a charm. Toji went and manhandled Gojo in a fast sequence that ended as soon as it started. I'm not going to lie, the way he did Gojo was art. Leaving him there laying in a bath of his own blood after all the talk about being the strongest was such a twist and cemented Toji as the menace that he is. But also he was the first character we see beats the limitless technique. The way he cut through it like a hot knife through butter was eye candy given how hyped the technique was. But if this was a one-sided slaughter, what can I say about what he did to Geto? It reached the point of bullying him. The guy had no answer to Toji's speed and hidden arsenal. And to add insult to injury, he tells him that the only reason he is not killing him is because he wasn't paid to deal with his curses. Not that he couldn't handle them, just he wasn't paid. The guy showed up, defeated the strongest sorcerers, killed the girl and went and collected his reward. Talk about the perfect introduction of a very badass character. And so when I saw that he was getting resurrected, I was wondering who is unfortunate enough to be the first to stand against him. And in fact, I was thinking, Gojo is sealed, so who is going to handle this man when he shows up? Obviously this was a question that quickly faded out of my mind due to the crazy pacing, but out of nowhere, this man shows up in a textbook fashion in how to make an entrance and wrecks the special grade Dagon in his own domain, depleting his near infinite HP in mere minutes with a series of relentless and powerful attacks delivered at speeds above what the curse can handle. Honestly, I am rarely impressed by OP characters like I was with Toji. He just clicked with me. He wasn't an OP character versus weaklings. He went for the best of the best straight up, and still easily overpowered them. But even still, Toji plays second to the next 2 characters who have their fight written on the wall. The strongest sorcerer versus the strongest curse. Gojo versus Sukuna. One thing that I found to be fascinating was how Gojo was full of himself, taking things lightly and not really caring, thinking he is the strongest. But after experiencing a brutal defeat at the hands of Toji and a near-death incident, he started, well, taking things lightly and not really caring, thinking he is the strongest. But the difference is, now Gojo can use the reverse cursed energy, and his techniques are complete, but more importantly, he now thinks he is the honored one. And while it might seem like he is just full on life after nearing his death, it actually holds a bigger meaning to what it takes to be the strongest in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Something he shares with Sukuna, and another hint at their legendary fight to come. But before we talk about Sukuna, let's talk about the pure badassery that this white-haired man has shown us. After getting defeated by Toji, on his last breath, Gojo mastered the reverse cursed energy technique and healed himself. He then goes to meet the only man to ever bring him to his knees, and when I tell you he returned the favor, I mean it. He put a big hole in Toji, literally, all while being high on life. This marks the birth of the Gojo we know, the badass that doesn't lose to no one and stands above everyone, all with a smile. However, where this character started to shine more was where he performed what's probably the best kill in Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's up there in the world of shonen anime. This honestly felt like it was from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure due to how satisfying it was. Usually other anime use one's aura as an intimidating factor, but Jujutsu Kaisen took it to the next level. Nanami and Jogo used the simple domain technique in order to bypass his infinity. However, Gojo is on another level. They weren't even able to get through his cursed energy, and here he wanted to flex on them to show them that they messed up with the wrong guy. After releasing his cursed energy, he started marching towards Nanami with a crazy look on his face, and the poor curse got crushed like a bug under the pure pressure. In all of my years as an anime fan, I am yet to see a more satisfying kill than this. And it wasn't like a bad guy who had it coming type of situation. It was just a simple show of power, pure and simple. Gojo really is the deadliest sorcerer in the show, all with a smile. But what happens when that smile is gone? Well, Jujutsu Kaisen never fails to impress, as you get one of the coolest sequences. After being pushed and after all the death, Gojo opens his domain for 0.2 seconds, just enough to stun everyone, but also not to hurt any human there. And then for the next 300 seconds, he killed every transfigured human in the area. And had it not for Kinjaku and the prison realm, he would have killed all the disaster curses there. Hell, even with the prison realm, Gojo only stopped because of Geto's body. Given the fact that this was right after the 5 prequel episodes, I honestly wasn't expecting Gojo to do much and will be sealed rather quickly. And while this is true, to my surprise, he was the most badass character, and seriously, I am here for it. I love a badass character when done right, when the character knows he is him and acts upon it. And this season spoiled us with a series of badass characters. But the man who stands on top of this, or should I say the curse that stands above it all, the king of curses, Sukuna. Who said a great villain needs a motivation and a depth of character to be the best? Well, with Sukuna, all is for his sake, all is for his pleasure, and all is for his highness. Never before have been so fond with a villain as much as I was with Sukuna. The only plan on his mind is to get his freedom back and enjoy reigning over the world with pure power. Sukuna is cunning, Sukuna is ruthless, Sukuna is all-powerful. He fears none and knows all. Immediately after his takeover, his aura engulfed the city of Shibuya, an enormous dark and purely evil presence. Even Jogo, a being born out of pure hatred, started to shiver in his boots from the mere sight of the curse that stands above it all. To me, Sukuna rewrites what makes a great villain. It's not the cause or the reason into why he is doing what he does. Rather, it's how evil and twisted and self-centered his actions are. But also, a great villain should stand above it all. And trust me, no one stands above the devil. Even against Jogo, with his insane firepower and large-scale attacks, he quickly realized that only despair follows when you are up against the king of curses. The poor guy summoned a meteor and still didn't even hit him. And Jogo is an insanely powerful being, able to kill first-grade sorcerers with zero effort. But against Sukuna, he's nothing. Seriously, to have a very powerful character to be handled like this, or better yet, to be called is just gold. I love Jujutsu Kaisen for these moments. Sukuna then goes and kills off Gojo with his own element, and then has a very unique speech with him, which was about strength and how in order to reach the highest of ranks, lashing out with all of his might, not caring for anything or anyone but for him to be the best. What he lacked was the hunger to be the best, the self-centered mentality needed to reach your ideal. Something that Gojo realized after his defeat at the hands of Toji. This seems to be a prerequisite to being the best in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I am all for it, because this mentality breeds only badass characters. As for Sukuna, he wasn't done flexing yet, and his next fight was actually a treat for him. Seeing that Megumi can use Mahoraga made Sukuna cherish him even more. But something that I found to be really fascinating was the way he handled the Shadow Beast. In total contrast to Gojo, even though he was much stronger, Sukuna actually toyed with the Mahoraga until he understood what makes him tick. And then Sukuna cut everyone and everything within a 140-meter radius circle. Everything was put to dust, including the Mahoraga who couldn't adapt fast enough. And nothing was left. No blood, no suffering, no hatred, just nothingness. A frightening sight that Yuji wakes up upon, as we see the memories rush to his mind. With no one to blame but himself, every emotion in him gets killed off by the sadness and the guilt engulfing his heart. To me, this was everything I wanted to see from the Kyuubi in Naruto. Pure evil, deserving of the fear the name entices. Sukuna is the purest form of evil and is very dangerous, and so this evil should never roam the earth free. That's the lesson Yuji learned in season 1. However, in this unforgiven world, there will always be misery. Jujutsu Kaisen is probably one of the best anime to handle this premise of the protagonist having a demon inside of him. But before we speak of Yuji, let's carry on with the really badass characters. And while obviously he's not on the level of the previous 3, I would be doing a disservice to you guys if I didn't talk about Nanami right after those 3. I am sure you've already seen the memes and the edits by now. The badass walk, the deepest voice, and the scariest look as he hammers on this idiot. And even when he managed to land a kick, for him it felt like he was hitting a wall, which was actually our first hint at Nanami's sturdiness. But for this nobody, after getting hit once, he immediately wanted to run. And when he couldn't, he started crying and apologizing, as the show delivers one of the most satisfying punches in shonen. This scene and mini fight made me really respect and like Nanami. But also throughout the season, Megumi and Nobora grew on me as well. And by the way, all of them died. 2 main characters and probably the best side character, just to show the length the writer is willing to go to tell the story of this cursed world, this unforgiven hell. For Megumi, he got saved by Sukuna, for God knows why, while Nanami had one of the most artistic deaths in the show, which is ironic given how emotionless he was. After he survived Jogo's blast due to his sturdiness, Nanami scouted the underground train stations, aimless like a husk, with only fragments of his psyche still intact. His mind wanders in an alternate reality, the life he wanted to have after he retires. But his body was still on duty, as he carries on killing the transfigured human. A peaceful dance in the dream, mirrored by a death dance in reality, and only woken up by Mahito touching his soul. A very touchy moment indeed, but from Yuji's perspective, it was a disaster piece. Seeing the curse who he swore to kill takes the life of his mentor and beloved friend was soul-crushing, especially after what Sukuna did and the guilt that engulfed his heart. But before we get to the final fight, let's first backtrack to where Yuji's suffering started, the fight that took me by surprise and rose as a hidden gem for me. Choso versus Yuji, brother versus brother, brought against one another by fate, or by the cunning of an evil cursed spirit. Choso had the making of a side character that dies first written all over him. He has a small revenge story with the main character, and he didn't have any role in the main plot by the villains. He was just an afterthought, and seeing him face Yuji first confirmed that to me. But the writer took me on a ride to have this character, who I thought so little of, be in an insane fistfight with Yuji that offered us an insane choreography and animation, and overall a breathtaking experience. And then for it to end up with one of, if not the biggest twist in this season. Choso is Yuji's older brother? Did Yuji kill his brothers? Is Yuji a human or the same as Choso? It left me with many questions and had me thinking of him throughout the season. Who is this guy and what's with Yuji and him? This loss to Choso set the path for Yuji's agony to begin. From the 2 girls finding him, to Jogo awakening the devil, to Sukuna ravaging Shibuya, to Nanami's death. All started by a character that I didn't think twice before. Talk about a great plot twist and great writing. And while I loved this writing, I was feeling bad for Yuji, whose agony is yet to end. After Nanami's death, Yuji gathered what's left of his psyche and charged at Mahito, screaming with all of his might, and signaling the start of their second fight. And weird it was, as we came to expect from Mahito's battles. To Yuji, however, it was a battle of wits. Why does Mahito kill so easily? What drives him to do this? Well, the curse had one simple answer: you are me. Sorcerers exercise curses, and curses kill humans. Simply put, we are meant to hunt each other. An answer Yuji was not ready to hear in his current state. And with Mahito continuing to pull off his tricks and play with human life, Yuji was reaching his mental limit. However, amidst all the craziness, a shining light pierces through the darkness, as Nobora strikes Mahito's soul through the clone he had on the surface. Not only is her resonance technique is the direct counter to Mahito, it's the way Nobora stroked that really captivated me. The badass stand, the cold look, and the intelligence she displayed really clicked with me. In the same fashion as the ending of season 1, she is ruthless and she is fearless. But more importantly for Yuji, she symbolizes hope. Yuji is not alone. As Mahito was shaken off by her technique, Yuji launches a barrage of fists onto Mahito, in a series of satisfying hits, and with her technique after effects lingering in Mahito's body, he couldn't respond to the assault and his soul was depleting fast. To say I was so psyched to see her again will be an understatement, and my naivety took over me. I was so hyped that we are going to see her fight side by side with Yuji again and finally put this menace to rest, only for me to get completely outplayed by the writer again. To me, Nanami's death, while sad, was to be expected, but to kill off the main female character, after having her pull off one of the most badass moments in the show, after she gave us, and more importantly gave Yuji, a glimpse of hope, her death was shocking to say the least. If nothing convinced me this far that this show is different, well, this does it. Her death echoes, and I was still shocked and in disbelief as I watched Yuji's mind break. He stood there watching over her dead body, with all of the bad memories flooding his mind again, as Mappa pulls off one of the best agony expressions in anime. And to make this show even more amazing, after this there wasn't any rage moment or help from Sukuna like other anime. She is dead, and all that is in Yuji's heart is sadness and guilt. His psyche broke, and he gave up on life as he stood there taking a beating of a lifetime by Mahito, who by the way had the audacity to pull off a black flash out of the excitement he felt after what he did to Yuji. And that's the story. Yuji lost, the curse won, and all that is left is death. We are Jujutsu sorcerers. As long as we keep living, our comrades have not been truly defeated. This isn't about sin and punishment, it's about what they have entrusted you with. These were Todo's words to Yuji, heavy words that brought his soul back, while Todo stood there shining like a sun. I say heavy, but they're only heavy to Yuji, because they reveal what Nanami meant, and explain what Mahito said. Curses versus sorcerers. There is no escaping this fight for survival. It's a natural advancement of life. And with this we reach the final battle, Todo and Yuji versus Mahito. Throughout the series, the writer and Mappa really pulled off all the stops to deliver thrilling and oddly satisfying fights. But this is especially true for this one, the legendary fight at the end of Yuji's character journey. The animation, the choreography, the lighting, the different settings, and the performance of the actors were all top notch. The fight had insane moments, badass moments, tactical moments, as the three of them pull out all what they got. However, with Yuji's determination being at an all-time high, and with Todo's insanely annoying and effective technique, they were able to corner Mahito and trick him, and Yuji delivers the final and most satisfying black flash, completely shattering what is left of Mahito's soul. After all that agony, after all those lost souls, Yuji finally puts an end to the human curse Mahito. But before killing him, Yuji approaches the broken curse and calmly tells him, "I am you. I'll just kill you. If you are ever to be reborn, I'll kill you again. If you change your name or appearance, I'll still kill you over and over. I don't need a meaning or a reason for it anymore. I'm just a cog in the wheel, and I'll just kill you." This bone-hollowing speech really struck Mahito, and this was such a satisfying growth for the main character if I have ever seen one in my life. From a naive, cheerful character to a ruthless, cold, and totally badass person. A cruel menace that causes even one of the worst curses to shiver and run for its life. A perfect ending to our tale, and man, what a tale. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 was simply a masterpiece. An insane story and a thriller with an even more insane production. What can I say? I enjoyed every waking moment of this show. But that's it for the video, guys. I understand that I didn't cover the last 2 episodes. However, with Mahito's defeat, I feel all the pieces are in place and the arc has concluded, and so the last 2 episodes deserve a video on their own. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, thank you for watching.